Hello everybody, it's your boy Hawka, the Counter-Strike Scholar, and I'm back to have a look at Magisk and how he likes to play the A site of Nuke on CT side. Apologies for not uploading much as of late. I was focusing on my casting I was doing over at DreamHack Masters, where I got the clip, which is probably the pinnacle of my casting career, which I'm going to go ahead and play right now. I direct where we're going with this. Can we go fly through a player's legs, please? Oh, here we go. No pressure.
Let's see.
Oh, God. The anticipation. The build-up. It's killing me. Oh, there's only 8 seconds. It's going to be a photo finish to get through the legs here, Dinko.
Is he going to be able to pull it off right through? And the pressure's building, and he's done it as we get right back into the action. Round 24.
All jokes aside, though, I'm excited to get back into making videos, and specifically in this one, look at how Magisk likes to play that CT side of Nuke on A, because he's had some pretty gosh darn good games on this map recently. Before we get into the video, though, I have to remind you guys, I'm still trying to hit 100k subs by the end of the year, so do me a favor, hit that subscribe button if you enjoy the videos, and let's not waste any more time. Let's get into it. Magisk would tend to have 2 different most common paths at the start of these rounds, depending on what spawn he had. When he had the best spawn, he generally liked to molly door early to deny any potential fast plays or any potential fast vent drops, and then, after holding the molly for a little bit, he'd throw a smoke, ideally as deep as possible into the molly, so that the T's can't push quickly while the molly's up, but then this smoke also lands deep enough where you hopefully have a little gap to work with, so it's going to be really hard for the T's to sneak out through door. When he didn't have the best spawn though, or more precisely when his A-sided compatriot Bubsky had a better spawn than him, he would let Bubsky do that, and he'd just go ahead and often like to just throw a nade into hut, deny that fast aggression, and then hold this nice angle on top silo to spot for any quick plays. And these sorts of switching of spots are something that are much more important in pro games where you know you can be susceptible to fast rounds, so both players are going to be equally capable of having to hold each spot depending on the spawn. This is only for the start of the round though, to stop any fast early plays. And the real concept I'm going to focus on in this video, and something I think Magisk really emphasizes and is very good at, is focusing hard on cutting off one side of the push into this A-bomb site. Let's take that initial round we were showing earlier as an example, where Magisk was holding door with his early utility. Extra Salt are attempting a fast play into the A site, but thanks to Magisk's early nades, he's able to get proactive and drop down towards door to fight aggressively. And after holding this angle initially, he then even asks for a flash in as the smoke is fading to get aggressive and cut off this door side of the push entirely. Getting a kill for his team, but more importantly, cutting off Squeaky Door completely so that Astralis' rotators have way fewer positions they have to be concerned about. And this is especially powerful because Extra Salt can't really just turn around and try and flush Magisk out of this position. They just all have to push out through hut, and at that point, you're going to be running into a blender every time. And hell, Magisk is even able to get back through door once he knows it's clear to clean up this final frag. This is exactly what you want to be doing on that A site. The other example I was showing earlier, where Magisk was holding hut, also has a similar application of this concept, just in a slightly different way. After holding hut early and getting quite possibly one of the worst timings he could on this nade pullout, seriously, I feel like that happens way more often than it should, even to pros. He's able to do good damage to Sonic early, and you can see why he likes this elevated angle. It's really good at catching unsuspecting hut players off guard. But then he very quickly pushes in as a follow-up into hut, which some players might not want to do. But here Astralis are down in a 4v5, and they've heard a lot of smokes and a lot of action towards yard. So Magisk thinks it's probably safe, and he knows he's done damage to the player who was meant to be lurking in hut. So as long as it is that yard play, which Astralis assume it is, that player who's lurking is probably going to have to play pretty safe now that he's low. The difference this time is Magisk isn't going to push too far in. He's just going to stay on this aggressive hut angle, making sure not to overextend, And this means he can stay compact with his teammates, which I really like in this spot because Dupree ends up playing the AWP on the other side of Hut. And once Extra Salt hear that the AWP is here in Hut, there's a very decent chance they're just going to try and run him down and think he's going to be caught in close quarters. But with Magisk here as the backup rifle support, there's a chance he's just going to get the drop on an unsuspecting player who's trying to run down that sniper. And that's exactly what ends up happening here. Sonic gets caught off guard, and the rest of Astralis are able to swoop into this A-bomb site, and they're able to clear up the round cleanly without having to worry about this Hut position whatsoever. So we've seen how Magisk likes to play aggressively to cut off some sides of the pushes, but how does he do it when he plays more passively? Well, this round is a great example of that. We get that same set of nades early in the round so that Magisk can stop any early door aggression, and then he repositions to the CT vent just before the push is about to come in. But after hearing the early nades, Magisk is instantly spamming that tight choke point at Squeaky Door to make sure no one can run out door early to help on the Hut side of the push. And then once the players come out Hut, this is just fantastic spray control and bullet management to get these 2 kills. And then I love the little jiggles in and out while he's reloading so that his teammates who are rotating up can have an even easier time of things while the Extra Salt players desperately try to land shots on these tight angles that Magisk are giving them. Again, though, the most important thing here is the imaginary wall that Magisk put up towards door early, which meant even though Extra Salt were out Hut while he was spamming door, just the fact that it's only a one side of the push that you have to be concerned about makes a huge difference on these holds, especially for the rotators. We also get a similar example of him holding more passively towards Hut. In this round, we get the early molly for the Hut position, which is where Magisk is going to be focused on. He doesn't need his smoke for Hut, though, so he saves this to re-smoke door to help his teammate Bubsky. And then he decides to play this Hut off angle, which he is playing more passively, but it still gives him that early information. And even if he gets blinded, he can just spam away on this angle and likely do some damage. But if they don't come through Hut, then he's going to have a great chance at focusing on those players pushing out through door. And that's what ends up happening here. How about this reaction time, by the way? Turning away from both of those flashes on the far side and then lining up 2 unsuspecting heroic players because he didn't have to be scared of Hut anymore after holding that angle for so long earlier on. This is one of the rounds that Astralis actually end up misplaying in the post-plant, though. Shush gets down to that B site and somehow comes away with this 1v3, partly because Magisk is in that awkward spot where he feels like he has to try and trade his teammate, but the spacing wasn't good enough to force this trade kill quickly enough. And unfortunately, that's a bit of a mistake, and it was quite a costly one in this game. But it happens to the best of us. As for the rounds where Magisk was tested on some really fast plays from his opponent, you can see here in round 14, after he's able to get the nades down towards door early, this becomes a really favorable fight for him against Stown, which he is even able to win with the FAMAS, so you get to see just how strong those nades can be. And then even in rounds where the spawn isn't ideal and he gets to A a little bit late on the fast aggression, the early nades from his opponents allows him to reposition to a stronger spot. And while ideally in the future it would be nice if Bubsky and Magisk could work together on these sorts of holds, they still both do a solid job at least finding 1 frag each. One of the other important aspects of being that A-sided player is knowing when you have to rotate and how to have the most impact on these rotations. I love how here in round number 3, where he knows Extra Salt are down on pistols, he doesn't commit to the site, as is oftentimes the norm for Astralis. Instead, he realizes he should be adapting in this round because he has to be that fastest rotator over to ramp, and he'd rather just have that fast rotate opportunity than properly commit down to A. So this is a really nice adaptation and just a smart awareness of what his opponents could be doing in this round. In this one, Magisk was switching things up slightly by pushing towards yard early, but Extra Salt are able to get a player down vents, and Magisk is able to quickly hunt down this kill. Obviously, the drop down is a bit of a risk, but this is a brilliant fight to win for his team and one that really wins them the round, because without it, This player on the B site could have been flanked much more easily, but instead Dupree can fully focus on holding ramp, and then once Magisk even beats this smoke, which was the fake onto the B site, it gives them even more information that it's likely a B fake, and they can go ahead and rotate back up. And then finally, in this round, he yet again has to go down to B, this time in a 2 versus 2. But this one's more about the micro play, where I really like how he just never overcommits to the site. And more specifically, I really like how he gets across to this little left-hand corner safely, because these fights just feel so much easier when you're peeking them on the right eye peak, and just when you have a more defined angle, rather than just swinging in the open. This gives you more of an ability to visualize and sort of pre-aim positions that you possibly have to be worried about. And then the final thing I want to give Magisk some love for is the way he can mesh being aggressive at times with valuing his life. I think a lot of players struggle to find this balance. They can either be a bit too aggressive and sometimes die a bit too often, or they're a bit too passive and they don't get involved enough in the action. But I think Magisk strikes a really good middle ground on Nuke. This round especially showcases that. We get the early aggression at Yard from Astralis, who are taking a risk on a buy where they don't have as much to work with, and Magisk is able to get an early kill, but then he doesn't try and overcommit to further fights once he goes down low. He doesn't get greedy and try and get another kill to recover an AK. He just keeps his cool, puts this smoke down, and repositions, safe in the knowledge that that Deagle could very well land another key headshot in this round, or he could even just outposition his opponents later in the round. And it's that valuing of his life that ends up winning the round, because he is instrumental in closing this one out later on. And I'm gonna be honest, I definitely would have overcommitted to those Yard fights and died. So shout out to you for this one, Magisk. And that's us done with the video. So shout out to you guys for watching. Hope you enjoyed. I should be back with plenty more bangers coming up shortly. My name has been Hawka, and I'll catch you next time.